and we're just going to write down a couple of the things that you've said so far, okay?
Okay.
The goals that you had for yourself, do you remember some of those things?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you can put the date that we've set some of these goals. And as we're going through, you can just write down some of these things that we've already talked about.
Okay.
If there's anything that stands out to you also, that you can write some of those things down.
Okay.
So let's go back to what you were saying. I remember you saying that you were very lonely, that you were having some trouble integrating in your workplace. Can you think of a time when you noticed your mood changing because of things that were going on at work?
Yeah.
Specifically?
Mm-hmm.
What was going on during that time?
Well, see, I was teaching my kids our outdoor survival skills class, and I had an assistant who wasn't very helpful. Well, he fell asleep while we were teaching them. And so there was a pile of ice sitting on the ground, and I had stuck some on him. And so he woke up, but he didn't respond very well. Like, he came and grabbed me and threw me on the ground and shoved the ice down my shirt. And I felt really violated by that. And like, I was screaming at him to stop, but he wouldn't. Finally, he picked me up, put me over his shoulder, and I couldn't get loose until he felt that I was possibly a threat to him, and then he finally let me go. But that definitely, it not only was like rejection, but it was also just fear at that point.
So those are the things that were going through your mind: feeling rejected, being afraid of him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what were your feelings that you had after that?
Just felt like I really couldn't trust anyone. Up till that point, I had wanted to be friends with the people there, but after that point, I didn't even want to try. I just wanted to like isolate myself.
Yeah. That's something that we can end up talking about in our sessions together, and definitely some of the other things that were surrounding there. Can you think of a time that was not a violent situation that you started to see your mood changing a little bit?
Yeah, this is kind of funny. One night we were all in the lodge, and there was like a chandelier, kind of like the one on the ceiling there, and everyone was like running across the living room trying to jump and touch it, and I can't really jump, but I wanted to try anyways, and like I looked ridiculous, and everyone just laughed at me, and then, or like, either they laughed at me or they just ignored me altogether, like pretended I wasn't even there, like I didn't exist. And that hurt me.
So what was going through your mind after that situation? What were your thoughts about what was going on and what people were saying and doing?
I just felt like they were kind of embarrassed to have me around, and they, like, no one really wanted me to be there. They would have just been happy if I wasn't there. And at that point, I honestly didn't want to be there anyways.
And those are the feelings that came afterwards. Do you remember any specific phrases or any specific thoughts that you had as you're thinking about the situation, about what just happened when you're there?
I felt dumb. I felt like inadequate or not cool. Like I didn't measure up.
So you think, I'm not cool, I am dumb, I don't measure up to these other kids that are here, these other staff people that are working here at this camp.
Mm-hmm.
And then after having those thoughts, then you felt sad and rejected, and you didn't want to be there anymore, and you didn't have any friends there, and you just wanted to go home anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good example. That's even better of an example to illustrate our theory than the other example, because the feelings that you were having, the thoughts that you were having during the other situation weren't necessarily irrational. That was a real thing. You could have been in a little bit of danger in that situation. It was very valid for you to feel frustrated during that time. But this situation is different. You have this thought, I don't measure up. And then that causes you to feel like, I just want to go home, I don't belong here. What evidences did you have at that time to feel that you didn't measure up?
Nothing concrete, really. Just, people didn't really acknowledge that I was in existence.
Okay. So when you're going through, when you go back to work this next week, and you're going through these times and you start to notice your mood change, I want you to write those things down and say, what am I thinking right here? What's this automatic thought? What's going through my mind right now? That can be something that you can do for homework, okay? And then also think about the feelings that you have regarding situations and try to use that diagram and follow it through. And maybe you can come back with 2 situations, just like you gave me right now, that we can talk about next time, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. And we're going to be looking for the evidence of how things play out and how we can kind of change our thinking. Because, let me give you an example. Have you had any positive experiences? Any time where your mood has lifted, where you've had positive interactions with people at work? Yeah? Building off of those strengths is really going to help you change the way that you think and feel during the frustrating times. So we can think of, what evidences do I have that this person doesn't hate me, or that I'm not ostracized by this group? So those are some things that we're going to be looking at, but we're almost out of time here, and I do want to summarize. This is just an intake session. We didn't really get a lot into the reasons behind why you're feeling certain ways, but we've got a lot to go from. So I'll just give you a quick summary, and then you can give me some feedback, okay? You're feeling frustrated at your workplace, and that's the presenting problem that you brought to our sessions. You've been feeling very anxious and very frustrated with those people, like you don't belong, you feel very lonely. That's a word that you used a lot, was lonely. We went over some goals that you have, and you've written some of those down. We've gone over some homework and some self-help activities that you can do during this week, so that we have some things to add to our agenda next time. And we've been educated on the cognitive behavioral model, and we have an appointment for next week. Can we meet at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything that you'd like to add to the agenda for next meeting?
Just to discuss more in depth some different problems that I have at work.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Nope.
How have you felt this session has gone? Do you have any feedback from me? Were you comfortable?
Yeah, I was comfortable, and I felt like I was able to talk about the things that were bothering me, and now I know like what I'm going to get from being in therapy, and I'm really happy about this.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to being able to discuss more later.
Okay, so am I. Thank you so much for coming today, and I hope you have a wonderful week at work, okay?
Okay.
Thank you so much.